Most websites contain invisible tracking code that allows company to collect and monetize data about your browsing. This data can include the sites you visit, searches you make, your location, and more. It's collected by advertising networks and data brokers, and then used to build a profile on you for targeted ads. In this video, we'll play detective on how big tech companies like Google, Meta, Facebook, and Amazon track your every click using both simple and sophisticated techniques. Let's dive in with the basics. One of the oldest and simplest web tracking tools is the browser cookie. Cookies are little text files stored in your web browser, containing small pieces of data that identify your computer. So when you visit a website, the site can save a cookie in your browser, say an ID number, and later read it back to recognize you. This is often useful, for example, keeping you logged in or remembering your preferences. But cookies are also widely used for tracking and advertising. For instance, Google and other search engines use cookies to log how you use their sites. Many companies employ third-party cookies, which are placed by domains other than the site you're on, to follow your browsing across multiple sites. These third-party cookies allow advertising networks to note that user 123 visited site A and site B, building a profile of your interest for targeted ads. Unfortunately, they can also reveal your personal information to data collectors and clutter your browser with unwanted content. But how do tracking cookies work in practice? Imagine you are on a news site that loads an ad from adnetwork.com. That ad, a third-party content, can set a cookie via your browser linking a unique ID to you. Later, when you visit a shopping site that also loads an adnetwork.com script, the script checks for that cookie and says, same user, letting the network know your browsing history on both sites. Here is a simple JavaScript snippet demonstrating how a site might set a tracking cookie. The code here creates a cookie named tracker ID, using the current time as a unique identifier, and stores it in your browser. On subsequent page loads, document cookie will contain the tracker ID, allowing the site or any script from the same domain to recognize you. In real tracking scripts, the cookie ID would likely be a long unique number that identifies you in the tracker's database. Third-party trackers typically set cookies via scripts for one-on-one pixel images. These are tiny invisible images that trigger an HTTP response with a set cookie header. The end result is the same, a tag on your browser that persists across sites. Today, third-party cookies are facing pushback. Browsers like Firefox and Safari already block them by default, and Google Chrome, the biggest player, has announced plans to phase out third-party cookies entirely. That said, tracking isn't going away, it's evolving. Trackers have found more advanced ways to identify you. What if a website could recognize you without any cookies or data stored on your device? This is the realm of browser fingerprinting, an advanced tracking method that's becoming increasingly common. The idea is that your device and browser have unique characteristics, a fingerprint, that can be measured. This fingerprint might include your screen resolution, operating system, browser version, installed fonts, language, time zone, and even hardware details. By combining dozens of these variables, trackers can generate a pretty unique identifier for you, even if you never accept a single cookie. It's like identifying a person by their clothing, accent, and mannerisms instead of their name. One site might notice, hey, this user has Windows 10, Chrome 113, 1920 by 1080 screen with these 5 plugins. We have seen that exact combination before. Each browser gives off a subtle signature. One especially clever fingerprinting technique uses the HTML canvas element, originally meant for graphics. Canvas fingerprinting works by instructing your browser to draw a hidden image or text, then reading the rendered pixel data. Because of slight differences in fonts, graphic drivers, and rendering, the resulting pixel data is slightly unique per system. The script then takes a hash of the data. Voila! A device fingerprint. In practical terms, a tracking script might draw a line of text in a weird font, call the canvas toData URL function to get base64 encoded image, then hash that string to get a fingerprint value. No two systems produce the exact same output, so this serves as a quasi-unique ID. Unlike cookies, which are stored on your machines, this method checks your system's innate traits, and you can't clear it. You can only try to confuse it by changing settings or using anti-fingerprinting tools. For example, Here is how you might detect if a site is attempting a canvas fingerprinting of your browser by monkey patching the canvas API. In this snippet, we override the toData URL method of all canvas elements. When a script calls it, likely as a part of fingerprinting, our overridden function logs a warning message. We could even choose to return a spoofed result. This way, you could catch the scripts trying to extract a canvas image. In fact, some anti-tracking browser extensions do exactly this. They detect or override fingerprinting functions to neutralize the trackers. There are many other fingerprinting vectors too. Audio APIs measuring your audio processing latency, WebGL for graphic cards quirks, install fonts or plugins, and more, all contributing to your fingerprint. Majority of browsers have unique fingerprints, making this a powerful tracking method. Alright, so far we have talked about web browsers, but big tech has many eyes. Device tracking refers to methods that identify and monitor you via your hardware, especially smartphones and other connected devices. Modern mobile devices come with built-in tracking identifiers. For example, Android and iOS provide an advertising ID that apps and advertisers can use to track your activity across different apps. It's like a cookie for your phone, except it's built into the OS. You can reset it, but most people never do. Facebook or Google's SDK in mobile apps often grab this ID to see if you are the same person using app X and app Y. Apple took a privacy step by requiring apps to ask permission to track, also known as app tracking transparency, which led to clashes with companies like Meta. But tracking still happens if users opt in or if companies find workarounds. Beyond the browser or phone, consider cross-device tracking. If you are logged into the same Google account on your laptop and phone, Google knows those two devices belong to you. Companies link data from your various devices to build a 360-degree profile. Facebook, for instance, doesn't even need fancy tricks if you are logged in. It just matches your identity across Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and any device where you use those services. Even when you are logged out, if Facebook has ever seen your device or browser before, via say a cookie or fingerprint from a site with a Facebook widget, they can recognize you. And it's not just traditional computers and phones. It also includes Internet of Things and smart devices phone home too. A striking example is Amazon's Alexa-powered Echo speakers. Research has shown that Amazon collects voice interaction data from Echoes and uses it to infer your interest for ad targeting, both on the Echo device and on the web. In other words, your conversation with a smart speaker might later influence the ads you see online. It's a bit like having a wire trap that feeds the ad machine. Creepy, right? Likewise, your smart TV, fitness tracker, or even car might be sending data to companies that later use it for advertising or product targeting. So far, we have seen how trackers follow you across devices. But there is another sneaky method hiding in plain sight: those social buttons and widgets embedded on nearly every website. That Facebook like button on a news article is not just a static image, it's a piece of Facebook embedded on that page. When it loads, it phones home. User with cookie XYZ is viewing this article. Facebook can track you across any site with the like button, share button, or the Facebook pixel installed, even if you never click anything or don't have a Facebook account. Google's reach is even broader. Websites love Google services. Analytics for traffic stats, ads for revenue, fonts for typography, YouTube for videos, maps for location. Each one of these is a little window back to Google. The result? Google can track you across any site using these tools, and their trackers appear on roughly 3/4 of all websites on the internet. Your browser is constantly whispering data to Google's server as you move around the web. Amazon Pay buttons on checkout pages do the same, and then there is their own ecosystem. Echo speakers, Kindle readers, Prime Video, all feeding data back into their advertising machine. So what do these companies actually do with all this data? They build profiles, detailed ones. Google combines your web browsing with your YouTube history, your location from Android, and your email activity. Meta merges your Facebook behavior with Instagram, WhatsApp, and everything their pixel sees you do on their sites. Amazon knows what you buy, what you browse, what you add to your wishlist, and even what you ask Alexa. And this is how we ended up in scandals like Cambridge Analytica, where Facebook data was misused for political targeting. It's also why you keep seeing those creepy ads that somehow know exactly what you were just looking at. Now for the good news. You can fight back, and it's not as hard as you might think. First step is cutting off third-party cookies. Since cookies are major tracking mechanism, blocking them stops a lot of passive surveillance. Safari and Firefox already do this by default, and Chrome is catching up. You can also clear your cookies regularly or use incognito mode for more sensitive browsing. Yes, you might get logged out of sites more often, but sometimes it's worthy trade-off. Next, consider switching to a privacy-focused browser. Not all browsers treat your data the same way. Brave blocks ads and trackers automatically and even has fingerprinting protection built in. Firefox offers enhanced tracking protection that blocks known trackers and isolates cookies by site. And if you really want to go deep, the Tor browser routes your traffic through anonymous networks and randomizes your fingerprint. Though it's slower. Even just switching your search engine to DuckDuckGo helps, since unlike Google, they don't log your searches. Beyond the browser itself, tracker blocking extensions are your best friend. Tools like uBlock Origin or Privacy Badger can stop third-party scripts from ever loading. No request to the tracker servers, no data collected. You'd be surprised how many trackers a single news site tries to load. Sometimes dozens. Now for the especially tech-savvy, you can even build your own blocking using browser extension APIs. Here's a simple example that cancels requests to no tracker domains. The code uses Chrome's extension API to intercept network requests before they leave your browser. Any request going to doubleclick.net or facebook.com gets silently cancelled. The tracker never even knows you visited the page. This is exactly how ad blockers work under the hood, just with much longer domain list. Every AI model you have ever used was trained on data scraped from the web. But here's the problem. The internet doesn't want to be scraped. Websites actively blocked automated access. And if you are scraping data at scale, say for AI training, price monitoring, whatever, that's a problem. And this is why today's sponsor, Thordata, exists. They provide 60 million plus residential IPs across 195 countries. Real device IPs that look like regular users, not bots. Once you sign up, you'll land on the residential proxies dashboard. Here I have got 1 GB of traffic active and ready. The endpoint generator is where you configure your proxy, such as authentication or location targeting. You can filter by continent, country, even down to city and ASN if you need a specific ISP. Session settings is where it gets interesting. Rotating session gives you a new IP on every request. Let me show you 3 requests. Costa Rica, Louisiana, New York. 3 different IPs, 3 different locations. Perfect for scraping where you don't want to look like the same user. But what if you are scraping something that requires a login or a multi-step checkout flow? You can't change IP mid-session. You would get logged out. So you switch to sticky session. Now I maintain the same IP for 10 minutes. Same 3 requests, same IP, same location every time. The site sees one consistent user. When the session expires, you get a fresh IP. Rotating for scale, sticky for sessions, Thordata gives you both. So if you are doing any kind of web data collection at scale, do check out Thordata using my link in the description. You can try it free, no credit card required. A VPN adds another layer of protection. It routes your traffic through an encrypted tunnel and masks your IP address. So websites can't pinpoint your real location or tie your activity to your home network. But it's not a cure-all. Trackers can still use cookies and fingerprinting, but it removes one big identifier from the equation. Just make sure you pick reputable VPN provider, since a bad one could log your data themselves. Finally, there are some power user tweaks worth mentioning. You can enable global privacy control in your browser, with signals to websites that you opt out of data selling. Firefox has a fingerprinting resistance mode that makes your browser report generic data, so you blend in with other users. And don't forget to tighten privacy settings on the services you already use. Google's ad personalization settings, Facebook's off Facebook activity controls. These won't stop tracking entirely, but they limit how your data gets used internally. Tracking by big tech is pervasive, but you now have the knowledge to make it much harder for companies to watch your every move. By understanding how cookies, fingerprinting, and third-party scripts work, you can spot what's happening behind the scenes and shut it down. You can't be 100% invisible on the web, but you can absolutely minimize your digital footprint. And by taking these steps, you are sending a clear message. My data is my business, not big tech's. Stay safe out there and happy browsing.